This is Rhett Hendrix with Hendrix Drums. It's one of the brands that Bob has available to you. And first of all, beautiful finishes. What can you tell us about the drums? What differentiates Hendrix Drums from other brands?
Well, the big thing that's different about our drums is we use solid wood instead of plywood. You know, most drums are made out of plywood. Most instruments across the board in music, from guitars, cellos, violins, whatever, the high-end, really nice instruments are made out of solid wood. So I thought, well, why in the world are all drums made out of plywood? So I thought, okay, well, let's find a way to do this. So what we use is the Stave shell construction method. So basically it's planks. I take a plank of walnut and I'll cut it into strips and then glue those strips together and then turn them around and glue it together into a cylinder and then turn them around into a drum shell. So we're talking about a solid, there's 95% less glue in our snare drum than you'd find in typical 10-ply snare drum. So the whole idea is get rid of the glue, let's just use wood in its natural state.
Cool. Let's hear him sing. I want to hear the tones. Cool. The snare sound, they all sound great. The snare sounds amazing. Can I hit it? I'll let you hold it.
Yeah, you got it.
Actually, what is it that's giving the snare such pop?
Well, it's a couple things. When you're dealing with solid wood, you get a lot more projection.
Yeah.
That's number one. But also we have a lot of features on this drum, and I'll run over them with you. The big thing is these S-hoops right here.
Yeah, I noticed the S-hoop. Yeah.
Basically an S-hoop, they turn the flange inward rather than outward, so it makes a really rigid hoop. So you get the crack of a die cast, but at the same time it stays open and has the body that a triple flange tube would normally have. So it's kind of the best of both worlds with the hoop. Go ahead. Sounds good.
Yeah, they pop, man. They really pop. Great sounding drums.
Well, Stave drum building's been around for a long time, but what we do a little bit differently than what you would find elsewhere is if you look at the bearing edges here, you can sort of see through the heads here a little bit. We leave the bearing edge a little under ½ an inch thick, but then the actual body of the shell, we go in and we cut that out, and it's only ¼ of an inch thick. So when you do that, it lets the drums really resonate. Whereas generally Stave drums need to be thick in order to maintain rigidity and be strong. But because we leave them thicker at the top and the bottom, we get the rigidity, but by making them thinner, we get a bigger tuning range and a lot more resonance. So they have the resonance of a ply drum kit, but the tone of a solid wood drum kit.
So they sound great. You know, a lot of some of the best Japanese taiko drums, even the giant ones, they're just one giant hollowed out piece of wood, and they have a thunderous sound that just sings and sings and sings. These have those sort of traits because of the solid shells doing the same thing.
Really well, I think the optimum way to build a drum is to hollow out a log, but it's very difficult to find logs that are consistent enough, don't have cracks and all that. So this is the next best thing to that.
Where are you based?
We're actually based in Alabama.
Okay, cool.
I want to show you a few things about the snare drum real quick. There's a lot of features on the drum. We already talked about the S-hoops. On the bottom here, we have the Fat Cat dual adjustable wires. What these do is you crank them down real tight, then you go back and you turn this screw right here, and this screw loosens off the center wires. So you get the tight outer wires and the looser center wires. So you get the pop from the tight wires and the ghost notes and the sensitivity from the looser center wires. Great idea, whoever came up with that.
Yeah.
I wish I did, but hey, they work great, so that's why we use them.
Drum Talk TV will give you the credit.
There you go. I don't deserve it. No, but our lugs are also solid aluminum. So all the way around the kit, we use aluminum lugs. They're chrome plated, so they look the same as everything else, but they're very, very lightweight. And again, a lightweight lug allows the shells to resonate and breathe. We have the new 3-position throw from Donette. So you get 3 different snare tensions just with a little turn of the lever. It's 1, 2, 3, and then off. And we also have another Hendrix drum product, which is called sleeved washers. These little washers, I don't know if you can see under there, they have a sleeve on them that goes into the hole in the hoop. So there's no metal-on-metal contact between the tension rod and the hoop. So it does several things. It makes the tuning a lot smoother, helps the drum stay in tune because the vibrations from the hoop don't go into the rod nearly as much because they're isolated. Also, it's going to protect your chrome. You know, if it's just metal on metal, it'll flake off over time. And then the last thing I want to show you is you can see that little bit of green right there on the tension rod. That's actually a strip of nylon, and we just use these on the snare drums. But that little strip of nylon, they're called tight screws. When you crank the snare up the first time, the threading will cut into that nylon so that when you're playing a hard backbeat, you're never going to have a tension rod come out of tune. So and also we do a polyester high gloss finish on our high gloss drums. Very, very durable, very, very tough. And obviously it looks great too.
Very cool. Great line. Thanks for sharing it with us. Sure. Bob, great job. You got a lot of great new products.
Thank you.
I'm sure you're going to have a very exciting year. It's been a good turnout.
Yeah, it's been a fabulous turnout, and I'm really honored that you came out to see us today. And everybody watched this show. It's an amazing show.
Thank you.
And I appreciate all that you've done for us too.
Thank you very much. And we'll come see you at the factory out in the valley before long. Definitely sometime this year.
All right.
Thanks so much,
care,
Bob.
Dan.
Bob Kasha here with the head brand of Big Bang Distribution with me, Dan Shinder, here on Drum Talk TV. Geek out on gear right here on drumtalktv.com.